have a motion to adopt the agenda as with the changes.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Brian, we don't have anyone on public comment. All right, everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes from our regular meeting held on December the 5th.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. No public hearings. We'll move on to, there wasn't a public hearing. Okay. You looked at me.
No, there's no public.
All right, we'll move on to have Mr. Truitt come up front and move on to his presentation. I tried to get Shane to do this, and he can't talk, so.
Well, I don't know how long I could talk, but I want
The
to thank
picture
you.
thing for the computer to go up there.
Jeff, this is difficult for me because, you, come on in. You're not even, you're perfect time.
Oh, good, good. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Really good.
Where
I'm
do
gonna
you
take
want-
your picture since you came.
Okay.
All
Yeah, this is difficult for me. I know you've been here with Judy and Niles and Shane a lot longer than you have me, but, you've done an absolute unbelievable job for the town of Burnsville. You've always got in here and reach out to us if you need anything. You've done a fantastic job. You've always been the first one here and, you've been a pleasure to work with. So
I appreciate that.
I want to present it to Jeff Truitt in sincere appreciation for your dedication and loyal years of service to the town of Burnsville. We hope that you enjoy your well-deserved retirement. 27 years, that's a lot, but.
That's
The photographer.
No. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure the rest of the board and Shane, everybody probably has something they want to say too.
I appreciate it. I really do. I want to miss everybody, and so maybe I can come back, work part-time maybe in the future if that works out real good. And I appreciate everything y'all done for me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for everything that you've done for us, especially not only what you've done in years past, but through this storm and everything, you was drastic.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad we're up to par where we need to be at.
We're getting there anyway.
Getting there.
You're
Getting
gonna
there.
be missed.
You will be,
That's for
greatly
sure.
missed.
Thank you.
Very much.
But I will tell you, retirement's not what it's all cracked up to be.
Yes, it is. Don't listen to
It
them.
is not.
Let me have that back. When I get up in the morning, I look outside, if there's snow, I said, I can open the door.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yes, but I really appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I really thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Thanks, you.
This recess.
We have a
Motion to recess?
Yeah.
I make it.
Second.
all in favor.
Aye.
All right, let's see.
I started coming up to Chort House last night.
Everyone, yeah.
continue to eat and carry on.
Nobody can.
We got, it's working pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go on to item number 6, with Ms. Hockaday's report.
Okay, project updates, Shane might have to help me on the West Interceptor CDBGI project, continuing with a finish date in March of this year. Is that what you remember, Shane? Okay.
So,
Next week on, the 8th, we'll be taking bids on the renovation of the old fire department building in North Main. That's the one we got the state grant for 1.8 million. Talked with the architect today, and he's handling that bidding process for us, but he feels like there's gonna be more than 3 bids, so it should go on the first round. The county's gonna be taking bids on the ARPA-funded project to rehab a portion of the Pine Swamp wastewater treatment plant. That got kicked a week. We were gonna do it on the 7th. We got kicked till the 14th. Withers Ravenel's the engineering firm handling that bidding process for the county. They moved it because they had a contractor that had some interest but had some questions, and they hope they'll get 3 bids on the first time that. If not, it'll have to rebid in, I think the shortest amount of time is like 7 days. FEMA, we're continuing to refine our damage inventory report. It's due on February the 6th. We're working closely with our FEMA project manager and the private consulting firm that the COG has engaged to assist the communities in our region with all the projects on our list. We've not received our assessments back from FEMA for the facility site visits that were done on December 5th. But I think we'll be emailing them tomorrow to try to get a date on when we'll get those back. We have procured engineering services for the permanent raw water intake pump station. We're awaiting a contract from McGill on that. And for the flood damages at the wastewater treatment plant, and we're awaiting contract documents from Withers Ravenel on that project. And we hope to have contracts on some of this emergency work that we've done, figured out by the February meeting for you guys to review. The FEMA consultants are helping us get that ready. Or advising us on that. It's really the engineering firm that needs to get him ready. We received an additional $200,000 grant from DEQ to add to the $3 million emergency loan that you guys accepted last month. And those funds can be used for technical assistance or engineering consultation. We don't have a project budget put together for a particular project for that funding. We're kind of waiting to see how it goes with FEMA. We think we can get some expedited funding for the temporary raw water. So we don't want to borrow money when we can get FEMA grant money right off, but we may need that money at some point just to help with our cash flow. You have a copy of the letter from the town's insurance company. They sent a check, an advance check in the amount of $750,000 to advance the damages they expect to cover. They expect to cover more than that. And so Leslie and I are gonna talk with the FEMA consultant tomorrow about how we need to code that in our financial records.
But none of that, they didn't say that anything was specific to.
Right, and that's the issue, because FEMA will not, you can't have a duplication of benefits. So if FEMA's gonna fund it, you can't have benefits from somewhere else. So we don't wanna say, well, we'll put this money towards something, and then FEMA come in and say, well, now we're not gonna fund that, you know, so, but the consultants think there's a way we can code this in our financial records so that when they finally do from the insurance company say, we're giving you X amount for this, X amount for that we can move it around and it'll be okay. There is a $50,000 deductible, and I think that was deducted from this advance payment based on the loss report that they sent. And we will need somebody to execute that, Russell or myself, just saying we got the money and it's for the losses of the storm. But they have on the sheet, they're not determined, it's not been determined yet which project it's going to. So,
I mean, it's good to have the money, but it's also good to be able to use it when you need it. We don't, but you don't wanna.
you don't wanna use it,
And it mess you up from getting additional monies from.
They were saying at the High Country the other night too, that if you got help, which that's not from a nonprofit, but it would not hinder any way your other
no, if it's a
things with that,
loan,
if it's a
or if
nonprofit,
it's,
yeah.
or some kind of nonprofit.
But
mean, I guess
insurance
if
wouldn't
you-
be wouldn't be a
No,
nonprofit.
no, they specifically exclude insurance payments from what they'll cover. But it just says to be determined, you know, the actual cash value of the property at the time of the loss. And so they haven't, they just keep putting to be determined. And they tell Chad that they're working on it, the adjuster does. But hopefully we'll be able to figure out what goes where, and then we'll know what to request from FEMA. Next thing I have is the appropriate technology use policy. Better known it, when Chad first told me about this a couple months, well, 3 or 4 months ago, he said, there's a lot of chatter on the clerk's list, sir, about this pornography policy. I was like, we're not gonna, is this like live streaming? I guess it is. I was thinking, this can't be like for real, you know? And then I went to the School of Government, had a legislative update to tell us about all of last year's laws that became effective as of yesterday. And sure enough, it was real, and every public entity from the Council of State, all the state agencies, all the universities, community colleges, anybody that is affiliated in any way with, and of course local governments, has to have one of these policies. So we look through our employee handbook and we have something along the lines that we've updated because they want you to be specific about what it covers. And it also covers elected officials, appointed board members. If you are using a device that is for elected officials and appointed board members, if you're using a device that is provided by the town, either through lease or whatever, you cannot be on one of those sites. If you are an employee, you not only can't be on your device but you can't be on our network, meaning you can't use your own device. So we're gonna have to share this happy news with everybody. And they have set up a state office where every one of these entities is gonna have to make a report. They told us you did not have to police this, but if it came to your attention, you need to document it and send the report to this state office, which is then gonna make a bigger report to the General Assembly.
Just put it on Facebook, near Bud World.
I know. So anyway,
Russell, it was brought to your attention, man.
it was, so there you go. There you go.
Luckily Russell don't know how to turn a computer on.
No,
No, I was talking about the one that was brought to your attention.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I need y'all to adopt this policy. and we'll get it on the books. And then, you know, the question was asked in the update, like what are we doing to elected officials? And censorship is the only thing that can be done. You have to be censored by your board, but apparently this has been a problem somewhere.
Oh, you know it has.
Do I have a motion to adopt the appropriate technology use policy?
I make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Bill, you in favor?
We
Well, I'm
have-
gonna hate my life
I'd
about it all the
relax.
time, cause we just have the best time
We've
with it.
charged Chad with letting everybody know.
Motion carries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let's see. The next thing we have is the North Carolina League of Municipalities biennium legislative goals discussion. So I was actually on this legislative policy commission, as were, I don't know, a lot of other municipal, either appointed members or elected officials. We, huh?
We just about learned that word during the thing, the biennium.
Oh, that's right. That's
Oh,
what it
yeah.
is. So, over the course of the last 3 or 4 months, the league wants, their lobbying wing wants to put together policy directives that are, I guess, come from or approved by all the municipalities that they represent. And I went to, I guess maybe 2 weeks before the storm, I went to the one live session that they had for the West in Asheville, and then we had 2 more that were Zoom sessions with everybody. And they came up with 16 different directives, and they want you all to, number 1, appoint somebody to go on their website and click the ones you want to see carried forward in the next long session, which will start this month. And then number 2, they want you to, I guess, kind of rank 10. You get 10. It's choose 10. I have my wish list, I guess, but it's really up to you guys. And I think, Chad, this went out to everybody, didn't it? Yeah. So, last time, I think you guys did appoint me to just go on and cast the vote. You need 1 member to go on and cast the vote on January 17th.
I'll make that motion.
Or if one of y'all wanna come in and do it.
Second.
I agree.
Judy's too prudish.
Okay, so in looking at these goal statements, obviously, I think the number 1 thing that affects any of the, and it was interesting because the larger municipalities have very different objectives than what the smaller ones do, but there are much more smaller ones in the state than there are large ones. So I feel like it's kind of a good mix, and the small municipalities were well represented. To establish long-term funding streams, to adequately address water, sewer, stormwater, transportation, and other infrastructure needs. I mean, that could include sidewalks, roads, those sorts of things too. Because we do have, aging infrastructure that needs to be replaced, and it's part of economic development to have that stuff going on. I know people say this is all we've done, but it was what was broke when we started, and what will continue to be broken, on and off. So, I kind of had that as number 1. And then number 2, they finally agreed to put on the list some advocacy for raising the current POW bill funding, which is what we get from DOT every year. It's based on your population. We have about 11 miles of city roads that we have to maintain, and they send us about 60 grand a year. That doesn't go very far in paving or maintenance or snow removal. All that has to be included in that. So I thought that was a pretty high priority. Expand incentives and funding for local economic development, which could include downtown development. I know one thing that has been on the list of a lot of people is to do some downtown development, and it's just hard to find grant funds for that. So that was, I thought, would be a high priority for us. Expand funding opportunities for disaster resiliency and recovery efforts. Recovery efforts, I wasn't so much in agreement with because there's always federal money, but resiliency, and particularly for small communities, when the majority of your stormwater infrastructure is either on private property or DOT controlled, there's not a whole lot of opportunities to just fund the things that we actually have on our streets. So that was one that caught my attention that I thought was good. Create incentives to encourage the development of diverse housing options. Housing is a big issue everywhere. And there's really no statewide incentives for that, whereas we have the economic development statute that would allow us to give incentives, or the county to give incentives for a company that was coming, but there's no incentives for developers who maybe want to build housing, you know, and it's extremely costly to build housing in our terrain. So that was another one. Provide resources to rehabilitate or purchase blighted properties. That's a little bit lower down, I guess, on the priority list, but it's something to consider. You know, if you had an area that just became abandoned and didn't have any kind of, where you could provide some incentives to bring in business. Of course, I think Commerce does that already, so, but if they gave local governments some type of funding stream to do that, that might be nice. Again, they're pushing to adequately fund regionalized water and sewer solutions. I always thought it would be, because DEQ will give you free $50,000 just to do a study. I always thought that would be a good thing to look at. It doesn't mean you're gonna connect two systems, but when you're talking about where could we locate a system that, like a water treatment facility, that another county or community could also access, and you'd have, sort of like the East Yancey Water and Sewer District, that sort of thing, could be beneficial for the future, depending on where growth is. Support technical assistance programs to assist municipalities with securing or maintaining grants or other necessary municipal resources. We get a lot of that from the COG. But I know the COG received a big grant from the legislature through the Disaster Relief Recovery Funding to be able to hire outside consultants to come in and help us. I don't know how many of the communities are taking advantage of it, but we certainly are. Because a lot of what we do, a lot of the funding we get will depend on checking the right boxes, filling out the forms the right way, doing everything we need to ensure that. So I think that's important that they keep funding that. Address the needs of a changing municipal workforce through state assistance that supports employee retention, including training and recruitment. That's gonna be a big issue coming up. I mean, we've got, how many, Leslie?
Oh, gosh. A quarter of us has gone at one time, pretty much,
Yeah.
a couple of years of each other.
And just finding replacements for people. I know, but finding replacements for people is a big deal, you know. We don't have a ETJ, so I didn't think that was a big one. You know, I don't think our municipal elected officials really do anything to determine election formats. That's a state thing, but they definitely put that in there. And then provide local revenue options beyond property tax. Right now, we don't have, you know, if you wanted to do a 1/4 cent, I'm not saying we're ever gonna do this, but a 1/4 cent sales tax that was earmarked for something specific, like, you know, sidewalks or lighting or parking or whatever, you know, we're not allowed to do that without a local bill. And counties can do that. So it would be something that they could give to municipalities. That would be a little bit of help. So, you guys have looked through those. If you've got, particular things,
That list didn't change much from last year.
not that much,
So I
It's,
think we're pretty solid on what we're doing.
you know, the guys over in Lenore were really yelling about this regulatory conflicts. Apparently, they took over a small municipality's water system at some point because they were going bust, incorporated into their system, and now I guess DOT's gonna be widening 321, and now they want Lenore to play to remove all this old infrastructure and put it somewhere else. And so they had some issues about that, but that didn't really. And then this orphan road program, you know, requiring the state to improve those roads before the towns assume responsibility for maintenance. I don't really think we've got that much. Those are more like subdivision streets and things like that. I don't think the annexation petition threshold really affects us either. So, I thought those 10 that I mentioned were the ones that were more in line, would have
With us.
something to do with us.
I like those.
So, if y'all are good with that, I guess just a motion for us to cast that vote that way by the 17th.
Well, we made the motion for you to do it, so
All right.
I think
I want you to be well informed,
no reason
Mr.
to
Mayor.
read them off.
Okay. Okay, no, I'm not gonna make you read them all.
No, I don't think.
All right, then I have, if we're gonna move on, I got the tax report. 2024 collections, we're about at 76.5% right now. You guys have that, and that's pretty good. We should see a whole lot more in before the 6th, because that's when penalties start piling on. And then our, the taxes that have been uncollected in years 2014 through 2023, the total is about $8,000. Most of it being really personal property. And there's one big one, which I think is probably Fred's. When they went bankrupt, they owed us that money, I think. So that'll be something we probably don't get. And then the last thing I have is the North Carolina Attorney General's Dogwood Awards. I'd like for that to be in the official record of this town. This award was created in 2017 by Attorney General Josh Stein, who will be our next governor. And it's an award given to honor North Carolinians who are dedicated to keeping people safe, healthy, and happy in their communities. The town of Burnsville is proud to acknowledge Mr. Shane Dale, Public Works Director, as the town's first recipient of this prestigious state award.
All right.
And he's very deserving for all of his hard work and dedication to, among other things, tackling our enormous task of restoring water to town customers after Helene destroyed our raw water intake pump station. So,
Speech.
speech.
Big conference speech.
We won't make him talk too much, but I did want some official record of that, even though Mr. Dale, I couldn't convince him to go pick up his award. But we certainly could not do anything around here without him.
Definitely must, it was deserved.
Yes,
Yeah.
most certainly was.
So, that's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Hockaday. We'll move on to Mr. Fox with the clerk's update.
Thank you. I have 3 items for you. The first is to keep compliant on our CDBGI project, the West Main Interceptor. We do a semi-annual self-report where I need to read into the minutes that there have been no Section 504/Americans with Disability Acts complaints to the town during the last 6 months. There have been no fair housing complaints to the town during the last 6 months, and there have been no limited English proficiency translation requests in the last 6 months. My second item is about planning board alternates. With Jeannie and Martin coming off the board and 2 of our alternates taking those spots, we have a need for alternates, and without any new applications, Jeannie and Martin both were willing to do it. If you all are okay with that, we can appoint them as alternates. And they would be in line to go back on the board as spots open up, next year. But those are the only 2 names I have as people interested.
Any discussion on that or from anyone?
Do we need action on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to
I'll
see
make
if
that
anybody wanted.
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you. I will let them know. And the last thing I have is Jamie McMahon on the ABC board has turned in a letter of resignation due to several things that have complicated his schedule. I think you all have a copy of his letter.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so we will need to find a replacement for that vacancy in the upcoming weeks. So that's just so y'all are aware of the situation. There'll be a vacancy on that board.
Well, I guess that'll allow you to go ahead and post that, correct?
Yeah, we can put that out there and see what kind of interest we can
Okay.
drum up.
Hopefully we'll have some interest and we can make a decision on that at our next
Hopefully.
meeting.
And
Which would only allow there to be a vacancy for basically 8 days.
Right.
Okay.
Well, he says he will be effective January 31st or upon the election of a replacement to my
Okay.
seat. It's whichever occurs soon. So you're right, yeah. So it'll just be a few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
And that's
deal.
all I have.
All right, thank you, Chad.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Shane Dale can't talk.
I'll give you just a little bit of it. Next week, we're gonna go back to trying to get our electric pumps installed. Got the ones at the river that is there. We're still running on diesels right now. The one at the field's got to be put in. They're gonna be here on Monday to start that process again, provided weather, everything holds up. It's gonna be cold, but I think we're gonna try to get that electric in up there, get it set. We'll still be back on the diesel for a little while until they get everything plumbed in and situated, but we should probably be down another 8 or 10 hours on Monday, if everything holds up. But that's the big report that I have right now. Everything else is, we're still battling some leaks and other things of that nature, and the sewer plant's still holding together. Everything's going all right.
Sorry, Shane.
There you go.
Thank you. Hope you feel better. I know we've definitely struggled with that for a long
It's been
time.
there too.
All right, Miss Leslie
Thank you, sir.
Crowder.
I sent out the budget versus actual last Friday, and there's just a couple of the 6,600 lines I need to clean up and move to that 812 department, the FEMA, but other than that, it's pretty good if anybody has any questions. And then next thing I need to move on to is the capital project ordinance. And so now next month, we're gonna have this capital project ordinance for the 750,000, so, for the insurance, so, you know how it is, it's just every month is something different with them. But the DEQ, expanded their funding, and it's now 3,200,000 that they've allowed us. Is that right?
Yeah, but I think you're gonna need to show that 200 is grant, because
Okay.
it's not repayable.
All right,
But
so
that's
then
all
I'm
right.
gonna have to change it to, but anyway.
It'll be the same amount.
Yeah, yeah, so it'll be grant instead of that, but anyway, we need to acknowledge that. And I might just totally rework this and try to do the insurance in it next month. I might
If
just
you
try
want
to do
to.
that.
Because we've not drawn on any of those loans
No.
yet, so.
So, it seems, I mean, it would make it easier for me, but yeah, I guess we need to go ahead and approve this, I think, and then next month we'll
And we can amend
amend
it
it
next.
again.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the emergency bridge loan.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And last, I've got a budget amendment. You know, last month, the guy was here from that MAPS program or whatever and gave us that donation. We all talked about, you know, we'd like to keep the donation or for it to go specifically, but we couldn't actually run it through us ourselves. I had to ask Sharon about it, and she said that you have to give it to a nonprofit, and you can have, you know, like, specifics about your donation, but you had to run it through a nonprofit. You couldn't do it yourself. So I'm just acknowledging there was this and another little check for like $75. So this is the total amount, and I've got to, I've already added the line and I already added the expense line, but we've already paid this to that Mountain Strong nonprofit that had been established. And Niles, we did the same thing with his money that we donated for him. So,
Okay.
I just need a motion to be able to amend the budget to show in and out.
I'll make that motion.
Thank
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Is that all you have, Ms. Liz?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, Chief Hal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a report for this month. Our fire calls ended up with 39 for the month of December and ended up with 451 calls for the year. I think that's the most we've ever had. And so, the big number event for this past month's been MVAs. I think due to the increase in traffic we've got, so I expect that number will stay up for a while till we get some construction settled down. So we'll try to stay vigilant with that. The other thing council needs to be aware of, we do have an engine that is in the shop right now. The gearbox on the pump went out on it, and they're in the midst of replacing that, so we're down one truck until they get that fixed. And Shane took it over last Friday, and they have a gearbox over there they're gonna put on it, but we're still good shape. Purchased the other engine we got from PG last year, which will fill in nicely since this one's down. It was good to have it there when all this happened, so that's our status with equipment right now. The field hospital is winding down somewhat. We finished out this month with them being in operation 3 days a week, and they're having a meeting this coming Sunday to try to decide what they're gonna do from here, whether to do a couple of Saturdays a month or maybe every Saturday for a while. There's still a lot of people using it, a lot of people coming by. There'll be 10, 15 a day most of the time coming in, so that's still housed in the fire department for right now. We still have quite a bit of fuel on site. Got a lot of propane and some kerosene, a lot of butane. Still got some fire equipment we're gonna house. We're looking at trying to get a container unit from Woodlawn Fire Department. They graciously offered to give us one if we can get it up here, so we'll have some place to put some of this stuff in out of the weather. So that's what we're doing right now.
1101 or 2?
This is level 3.
1103.
Thank you, Chief Hal. All right, Chief Buchanan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Y'all have our activity logs. It's been a normal December for us. Don't really have a whole lot to report on. We're back at full staff, and nothing major really happening with the police department. Just normal calls, normal operations. Zoning code enforcement wise, don't really have that much there either. We've had some permitting here and there. Most of it's been residential projects. There's a couple commercial projects out there that they've talked to me about, but have not been submitted any plans or anything like that to take before the planning board. Anything at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
Several reports of people walking around, looking in people's sheds and stuff. Can we up the side road?
I can mention any particular
Yeah.
places or?
Had one right there at Bird and Swiss, or Bird and Shepherd, and then the one at Samantha Phillips, got her driveway at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Our street, we've had an uptick in strange folks just walking up and not coming back down.
Not your neighbor.
No, we checked with neighbors, not our neighbors.
Yeah, just see if the guys can make it.
Was it you, Bill?
That was Bill.
After there's all that.
All right, I'll pass that on to him.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Brian. I guess we'll move on to council member reports. No, I was joking this time.
I swear, you did that.
I've got it highlighted.
I can see it on his face, he's going to do that.
Heather's the other
That was
thing.
hilarious.
Mr. Corbin for the town center.
Firstly, Town Center, again, we're fully operational as we have been for last month. January of this year has 24 events. It's only 2 more than last year, but the events so far are larger. Mostly last year was consistent of smaller events for just a couple hours each day, so hopefully a little bit more income with these events. Anyways, the bizarre picture that I've given you guys would be of Area C where RE/MAX is currently taking place. They're wanting to put in 2 to 3 cubicles in the storage room for a little more privacy. And there's 2 options they're looking at. One is to buy pre-built cubicles that they can just put in there, but they believe the cheaper option would be have somebody to come in, frame up some walls, and just to build cubicles in the rooms. With that being said, in our agreement with them, there is no alteration of building. However, it's gonna be between 16 to 24, concrete screws going into the walls, probably. It wouldn't be a huge issue to put up, in my opinion, but I figured I'd bring it to you guys to see if you would allow them to alter the building in that way.
I mean, are they needing it like soundproof, or, cause I'm just looking at cubicles like those that you can just go out here and purchase that don't go all the way to the ceiling.
Correct, it would be 6 feet tall, roughly 6 feet long, and 6 feet wide.
So they need it to be basically soundproof.
Little
That's
privacy.
what they were kind of saying, but again,
Little
a cubicle, in my opinion, isn't soundproof.
No,
I mean, there's no ceiling above it.
it just seems to me from a cost standpoint, and
Well, they would be paying for this, we would.
I know,
yeah.
but like, I'm looking from their standpoint, it would be
It's
easier
bizarre.
just to go buy those dividers and make cubicles. I mean,
What's left on that lease? 2.5 years?
I believe so. It's either April of 26 or 27, I can't remember off the top of
I
my
think
head.
it's 27. So we would need to do an amendment, I think, to the lease, if we were gonna allow them to make an alteration. And it would probably need to be temporary. I mean, something that, like you said, would be removable.
Yeah,
If we leased it to somebody else who wanted to use it as a storage area like it was before, rather than cubicles. But,
I don't think we do anything permanent.
yeah.
And then you put a bunch of screws in the wall and you're a mess.
I would rather it be just freestanding myself.
I'll second that if that's a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, so, you guys authorized me to amend the lease for them to allow them to put in freestanding.
I mean, if it's
That's-
freestanding, they
that's
just
not-
bring it in. It
That's
shouldn't
not an
have to-
alteration to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not an
No,
alteration to
no.
the
Shouldn't have
building.
to- shouldn't have to change anything then.
Okay.
No, that's right.
That's all I need, thank you.
Thank you, Corbin.
That's all I really have.
Because I didn't forget about you this time.
I mean, I can keep rambling
I was
if you
like,
want,
surely
but.
Y'all get your money's worth.
All right, council member reports. Anyone have anything they want to report on?
I get kind of a little question. All this stuff is still down, is it French Broad's responsibility, or is it the cable company's responsibility, or who's supposed to get all the
Everything
ones?
that's still down is communications.
Right,
So the reason that the poles haven't been removed or the wire is because those broken poles that are still upright, the communications, whether it's Verizon, Zito, whoever it is, hasn't moved theirs over to the new pole, and that's not French Broad's responsibility, so it could be a long time before those things are removed. And it's all communications, none of it's
Howard?
power.
because a lot of people are afraid to cut the trees down because they're saying it's live wires, and I said, no, there's no live wire there.
No, all the live wires are off the ground. Now, I'm not saying that French Broad doesn't have some wires down, and it is their poles, but they can't remove them without these, communications companies climbing and swapping theirs over to the new poles.
And I don't know if we can have any push or not, but that end of Shepherd up there at the Tonners, there's gonna be a mess up there. Some high truck's gonna go in there and tear all that out, I don't know.
Yeah, they'll fix it then. I mean,
But I mean, that's crazy.
we can't get them to go out there. They've been
I mean,
promising us how many months
We
now?
don't have internet at the at Baker's Creek.
At the
Shane-
valve or the
Shane has
pump
to go out there
station?
3 times a day.
Pump station or the tank.
We do not run anything from the water plant at Baker's Creek. Shane has to go 3 times and look at it. So,
And
I mean,
how many times have you been over there now?
Over a few times.
Yeah. We're looking at changing that out, though. We think we might have a plan to go with a different provider for it, but it's, yeah. I don't know. If the neighborhood has people who have that service, they need to be raising Cain with Zito.
And just like
I mean,
with that one, they're
everybody's
gonna do
raising
like
came with Vito
hard to
before
push
the
a
storm.
road. Yeah, you can pull a road, but it's hard to
There's
push.
2 poles in our front, in our neighbor's yard, and one of them's French Rod's new wiring, and the other is,
yeah.
cable company is still,
Yeah,
Yeah,
hadn't
you-
moved.
I mean,
Hadn't
there's
moved.
hundreds of them
That's
across
been
the county
years.
that
Yeah.
are, that are,
yeah.
the new ones are set right beside of the one,
Yep.
the broken one, but, just a couple of things, and I was whispering to Heather during Shane's report. I apologize. I didn't wanna say something out of place, but I just wanted to kinda ask the board, moving forward with this Bowlins Creek, if, you know, make sure no one has a problem with moving forward with the Bowlins Creek, cause Ronnie and Brian accessed the watershed intake, one day this week, and I mean, it's very inaccessible. My thoughts and feelings are, is this is the one and only opportunity that we will ever be able to fix this back, if we can, with, you know, if FEMA allows us to do so and funds it. But, it's gonna cost us a little bit of money, whether it's Shane's crew going up there with the excavator, or hiring someone to go in there and do a little bit of work to even access it to where we can get FEMA up there. I mean, Brian can vouch for it. It's a long, hard walk to get up there. And I just kinda want to,
Is that the watershed?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so, you know, we've got the two.
We've got 2
the
intakes.
Right.
This is the right-hand side of the watershed side. But I just don't want
There's
to,
about 6 foot of the road left where it slid off.
I don't wanna have Heather instruct our people to go up there and do stuff without, you know, without
Still good with
the board's approval on it, but I just feel like that, I mean, it's free water. If we can ever get it built back and get it funded to build it back, it's free water that we could,
I think that's very important. I would love to see that.
and we don't know that we'll get it funded, but we're gonna have to be able to get FEMA up there, and I can promise you that the few that's here cannot get up there without some work.
Yeah.
If anything, if we had that and anything ever happened to the main thing with
Yeah.
some conservation, we could run off that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and
We used to
major flood
Good,
events
pure water.
prior to this, I mean, it could be a possibility that the river pump station could be washed out, and you still have gravity water from Bowlins Creek. Obviously, that wasn't the case with this one, but hopefully we never see anything like this. But I don't wanna, I've kinda been pushing for them to go up there and access it, and we've had discussions with FEMA, but I just wanted the board's, I guess, approval or disapproval, if you don't think that we need to do so.
I, for one, think it's very important that we have that.
I just type on it fast.
I don't know. What do you think? How much work to get access?
I'd like to go up there.
Did we ever I mean, you could take a truck up there at one time.
pickup up there.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Good,
saying.
but now, the last few years,
Yeah,
pretty rough.
it's been,
you take side by side about what you can get up there.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I'll go up there and look at it as well, and,
Before
we'll see if we can get it to where we can at least get them up there with a side by side, to where they can look at it, but, the only other thing I'd like to mention secondly is, and I know that everyone here has probably spoken to Shane on it, but I want you to know that, a lot has been done at Glen Raven, trying to figure out what's going on with this water leak.
you got it, right?
No.
we don't.
Still don't.
We have not found a leak.
I mean, we've called
dug up
people
the
in.
whole world, we've
We've
had-
been down there at midnight. We had the last time we had Glen Raven shut down at 10 o'clock, all their operation, and shut it down for an hour so we could listen.
Yeah.
And I say we, it's the guy from Hickory, that's what he does. I mean, he's the best of the best, but, you know, it's a top priority for us, but where it's at, you just can't go down there and start digging across 4 lanes of traffic when you don't know where it's at, so. We've got a kind of a different plan. I say we, Ronnie and Shane have a different plan in the morning to hopefully go down there and maybe shut a couple of valves off and see if we can eliminate some of our questions, so.
I just knew you was gonna say we found it.
No, if we'd have found it, I'd have said that first thing, but, it is, you know, it's definitely a priority, and with the winter months, you know, DOT has been working with us, and they've had a lot going on, obviously with the storm, but, I hate that they're having to salt that down there, but if we knew where it was, we'd go down there and fix it tonight, but we just don't know where it's coming from, and a lot of people don't understand, we got water lines on both sides of the road, and they just think that it's broken right here and it's coming up there. That's not the
That's the way
case
it
with
works.
it, especially with that new road. There's multiple layers of asphalt down there, and water can get in between those 2 layers of asphalt, and it can run from here to Roses before it ever comes up, so. If it was across, you know, Main Street or 197, a 2-lane road, we'd shut it down and cut it in 2 and find it, but that's not the case with a 4-lane, as much traffic as we have
And
here
all
right
the
now.
way to all them dump trucks has got to be filled.
So I just wanted to, I'm sure that you're hearing it in the community, but it is a priority from poor Shane and his crew, so, and for Brian and Niles. I mean, I know it's on everyone's mind, so, especially with it happening in the wintertime, so. They're trying their best, and we will figure it out. Elaine, does anybody have anything else? Any council members have anything else? All right, Ms. Elaine.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm just gonna update you on some of our recent activities and also share some of our plans for 2025. First, I'd like to highlight the Christmas Parade and Merry Main Street events. Both celebrations were great successes, drew large crowds and brought some much-needed energy to our downtown after everything we've experienced. The Christmas Parade showcased the incredible community spirit of our residents, and Merry Main Street gave locals and visitors a chance to enjoy holiday shopping and festive entertainment and beautiful decorations. Our Santa estimates he had between 300 and 350 children on his lap in the 2-hour stretch. We had a tired Santa by the end of it, and we gave out a little over 400 presents to kids from 0 to 18 at the visitor center, so that was exciting for us. Both of these events were publicized as ways for folks to come in, not just for the event, but to come into Burnsville, enjoy the entire day, do some shopping, have dinner or lunch, and experience not just the event itself, but the charm of Yancey County and Burnsville, and we seem to accomplish that. And best of all, we showed everybody that our businesses are back and open and ready for visitors, so that's exciting. This year in addition to our annual events, we are excited to announce that the Chamber's sort of transitioning ourselves into an event planning organization with our major attractions, Mount Mitchell, the Parkway, and hiking trails down after the storm. It's really significantly impacted the foot traffic that we're seeing in downtown Burnsville, that we really need to make sure we get back to keep this economy growing. So we are actively working on what we're calling our new initiative, Saturdays on the Square. Our goal is for something to be happening in Burnsville every single weekend, not necessarily always on the square, and not necessarily chamber events every weekend, but something that we can promote every weekend is happening in Burnsville. So people aren't asking if something's happening in Burnsville this weekend, but what's happening in Burnsville that we can go do and participate in downtown. So that's one of the things we're doing. We hope to partner with local organizations New Ray, Home Place, Parkway Playhouse, music performers, that sort of thing, to just generate some excitement in downtown and keep people coming to our businesses and restaurants. We're also hoping to create some unique events, like we'd like to do an Easter egg hunt on this town square on Palm Sunday for the kids. So we want to continue to do some things that will be really family-oriented as well. And we figure that, you know, if we can continue these events, we'll keep at least downtown vibrant, and people will start to see what's opening up around us too as they continue to visit downtown Burnsville. As I have more details, our Special Events Committee is meeting on Monday, and our board meeting is the following Monday, but I'll come back to Heather and the council if we have something that needs to be discussed or approved by you. We hope to see all of you on January 22nd at our members' luncheon. Our own Miss Heather over there is gonna give us a town update. We'll also be featuring county and chamber updates, as well as a brief presentation from Advent Health on the new facility that's going to be going up in Weaverville. So we'll have that. It's a great opportunity to just do some networking and stay informed on what's happening in the area. Looking ahead, we're already planning for Mount Mitchell Crafts Fair in August. We're in the process of finalizing the applications for our craft vendors, release to our craft vendors that usually go out on January 1st, but we're hoping to do some changes this year that's kind of delayed that by a few days. But we're hoping to grow this event even a little more than we already have. To that end, we're considering adding a third day to the Mount Mitchell Crafts Fair. We've always done Friday, Saturday, but we looked at Sunday. Several of our vendors asked for a 3-day event rather than 2. The issue with Sunday is we have the churches on the square, that would just disrupt too much. So what we'd like to do is add Thursday, July 31st, and do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday event instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We think that would give bigger opportunity for people to come into Burnsville, more interaction, people staying here, people visiting here. What we would do is just kind of move the whole process up by a day, so we would mark the streets on Tuesday and then close on Wednesday afternoon to do the load-in for the crafts fair, and open it Thursday morning at 9 a.m. to open 9 to 5 that day like we do the other 2 days. We think the change would have a positive economic impact, and we would really appreciate the council's support as we move forward with that planning. Specifically tonight, we are requesting from the council approval for the additional day downtown, as well as requesting a DOT street closure for that day as well.
Is there any way, Elaine, I'll let the rest of the board speak on this, but is there any way to delay that decision, or when do you have to send that out? And the reason I'm asking, I'd like to speak to some of these businesses, because it obviously affects some of them. I mean,
Sure.
I know that it affects them positively, but there's some that it probably affects negatively. I mean.
With the extra day and the crafts fair setup. Sure, I understand. I would like to get the applications. We typically put them out on the 1st, so people are already aware we don't have them out yet. But what I'd like to do is delay that to January 15th and just put up on our website that the applications, we're doing some changes to crafts fair. The applications will go live January 15th instead of the 1st, which we obviously missed yesterday, because I really want to get it in front of our board meeting, or in front of our board at that meeting. It's on, I think, the 13th as well. So, yeah, I mean, we can definitely delay it a little bit so you can chat with folks.
Would we have, I mean, Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but would we have time to hold a special meeting and let us maybe have a few days to have those discussions and to think about it, and have a special meeting before the 15th just to approve that, or?
Could,
I mean,
we need
and again,
48
I'm
hours.
just speaking,
Yeah,
but
I think that's a
well,
good idea.
Yeah,
I do.
I just
I
know
think we need
with
to talk.
that long road closure, and
That's-
obviously we would involve the police chief in that as well, along with Niles and Shane. I mean, those guys do a lot of work for us
Absolutely, there's more
to make it
impact. I
happen,
certainly
so.
understand that.
Have you had any contact, Elaine, with the courthouse and the court system?
The county courthouse, no, I have not.
Because
Does that, I didn't even. think
it would
about
be
that.
an impact. I mean, if they
Courthouse,
have,
yeah.
I mean, they're normal operations, but if they're having court during those dates,
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'll.
They
check
need
with them.
parking and all that kind of stuff. And that schedule, I know the next 6 months has already been set, but I'm not sure about those particular dates.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely check with them.
Maybe you check with them
Yeah.
and come back to us, and if it may not even be an option once you check with them.
Understood,
But if
yeah.
it is, then let us know and we'll get together and talk about it at a special meeting and make a decision at that point, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Is that
that's
okay
fine.
with the
Y'all are
with the
meeting
council?
on the 13th? Your meeting is on the 13th?
Oh, yes, sorry, I thought you meant them.
Yeah.
Our board meetings, is that a Monday? I was
Yes.
yeah,
So
that's Monday.
what time do y'all meet?
We meet at noon.
Okay,
Excuse me, we
well,
meet at
I would need to move probably if you want a decision from this board before then, we probably need to move the meeting I have with you at 10 a.m. On that date
Okay.
to some other time. We could
What, have it that morning prior
have
to?
a special meeting that morning. I don't know, Randy, you need to look at your schedule, the 13th.
I don't have a
Randy
schedule.
don't
You
have
ain't
a
got a
schedule.
schedule. Oh, that's right.
Ain't nobody here got one. Well, yeah, Denise.
Denise has a schedule.
I do.
Judy has a schedule.
Yeah,
What's on? Let me look at your schedule.
all those days are full.
Of what?
Doctor's appointments.
Oh, God, make a mess, Sam.
I know.
Church gets over, is usually, I mean, we looked at that, it's over by noon, but the problem is that the Baptist church uses mostly the square to park. Because they
That'd
don't
be a
have
nightmare.
anything but the
Yeah,
municipal
That'd be a
park.
nightmare.
We just don't wanna
We
disrupt
couldn't
that
do
at
that.
all. No, I would not. I mean, the first thing I said was, can we bust them from Rose's parking lot like we do the vendors? And then I said, you know what, we just don't wanna mess with that. That's, I mean, not the transportation, we don't wanna mess with the church's schedule,
Yeah.
so
100%.
that's not the point, is to disrupt church service.
And I can see the 3 days, cause obviously you've not been here very long, but you'll see that it rains that weekend of the Kraus Fair.
No, it
So-
doesn't, cause I ordered good weather last year.
So
and we
the
got it.
additional day,
Yeah.
it could be very
South days.
beneficial. We just have to see that it doesn't negatively affect, you know,
Understood.
anything from police to the businesses and.
Of course, I appreciate
Probably got a
that.
big courthouse issue, it's one of the bigger ones.
Well,
Yeah, and
she's
I
checking
will
into
definitely
that.
check on
She's
that
gonna check
as well.
into that and let us know. And
Oh, we had a
if-
sidebar going on here.
Yeah,
You just need to talk with the clerk of court's office as well as the county manager.
Yeah.
Because they would have the they probably won't have the schedule for August, but if there's a way to give them a heads up
Oh,
about
gosh,
those
yeah.
dates.
I appreciate you mentioning it, cause I hadn't
So-
even thought about that.
You do sort of run into, I don't know, how, but you have Wednesday night services as well, so we're shutting the square down on Wednesday. We're into the same parking issue with churches if they're having Wednesday night services.
Yeah, probably need to talk with them about
Hmm.
what they do about that. Wednesdays and Sundays are a big thing.
that's definitely,
And, you know, we have the issue, I don't know how much longer Samaritan's Purse is going to be occupying the Methodist Church in that parking area.
They're not there.
They're not there, they're already gone.
We had that conversation today, though, and the last thing we wanna do is start a parking war between Methodist and Baptist church.
No.
Seriously, it was
No.
like, we don't wanna get them
Yeah.
upset with each
No.
other as a result of what
No.
we're doing, and that's why we just
Oh, that's right, they're
totally
going over
back
there.
up.
no, it's a great event. I mean, it's our big event,
Yeah.
but we obviously have to respect.
Oh my gosh, yeah, of course, and I mean,
Everyone.
our vendors, we got really good response to our vendor survey last year, because we were pretty proactive about getting them to fill it out. And one of the things I said was for all the setup and breakdown we have to do for this event, 3 days would really be preferable to 2, because they kinda get set up, they get foot
Right.
traffic going through there, and then they start, soft closing on Saturday afternoon, and there's just not that much time in between. But, if we can't do it this year, I mean, if something stops it this year, maybe we can look at doing it next year too.
I mean, obviously Corbin would be involved in this too, because, I mean, the town center on that additional day, if you, I mean, you probably don't book people
I
that
would
far in
I'd be setting
advance.
up with them and with the quilters anyways.
Right, on that Friday, but if we move it back a day, like, make sure that you didn't have someone,
No, the quilters take up that entire time.
oh, they do?
Wednesday, Thursday, they're
Okay.
in there setting up typically anyways.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, just, if you don't care, Elaine, just kinda do your portion with the county and get back with Heather, and if everything's good there, then we'll.
Tell-
Would that Monday work for?
The 13th.
But I can,
Would it work for you,
Yeah, I think so.
Bill?
I can talk.
Would that Monday,
We'll
the
make it,
13th,
yeah.
would that be okay? I mean, I know Denise probably can't
Somebody
be here,
will-
but
somebody will
we won't be
jog
here
my
2
memory.
minutes, but.
Yeah.
Oh, I will, if I don't
I go
forget.
to work so early, but.
Okay, well, so then you want to direct Chad to call a special meeting for, Monday, the 13th at 10:30. What's good for you, Judy?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow,
let's,
as long as I can
Depending
get
on-
up.
let's, let's,
When I hear from the
let's
county.
wait till we hear from her
Yeah.
after she has a discussion, because it might not even be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
far in advance do we have to post
We
that?
have to post it 48 hours.
48
Oh,
hours.
okay,
Yeah,
so,
maybe by early Thursday or something,
Yeah.
okay.
if we don't wanna include the weekend.
Well, are you gonna try to go over tomorrow?
I
Okay.
absolutely will be over there tomorrow, yeah, of course.
So if
I mean,
everything's good there,
If I
we'll,
can catch both of them tomorrow, hopefully I'll have an answer.
if everything's good there, we'll go ahead and post that meeting, and we'll have it the morning before your meeting.
Okay, thank you guys, I really appreciate your support, not just for this, but for everything you guys do for our businesses and everyone in this town, so thank you for everything.
How,
Happy answering.
just while you're up there, how, in discussion that you've had with the businesses, or how are the businesses doing? I mean, I know October was obviously, and that's a big month. but-
Yeah, challenging. I can tell you that just at the Visitors Center, our annual visitation rates were down by 12%. But really, given the fact that we were 3 months almost out of, pocket,
Yeah.
I was surprised it wasn't more than 12%. I think most felt like they did fairly well through that month of December, and pointed out that the events really did help because people did come in.
Right.
And it also generated, the PR generated foot traffic, even if it wasn't to the events or on the event day, because people saw it and knew
Yeah.
that Burnsville was open. We have a new PR person with the chamber that is on the travel and tourism side, and she's out of Asheville, and really doing a good job at getting us in front of the right people. And we're really focused right now on regional, trying to draw people in for day trips or maybe overnight trips. The New Ray's back open, and that's really exciting. When I say back open, they had FEMA
Yeah.
people in there for the most part, and so Carolina Country Inn up until December. So them being open for business to the general public has really helped too, because at least there's somewhere for some people to stay if they come into town.
Right.
Some of them indicated to me, Claudia, Dennis, indicated that the Merry Main Street this year was the best Merry Main Street they've ever had.
Good.
And Claudia had both the Mercantile and the downtown Mountain Time open. So I know some are still struggling. I'm just so proud of all of them. We literally have 100% back open, and that to me is, I can tell you that sitting in on a Zoom call with Chuck Edwards, he told me that, not told me, told us, as chamber executives, but it really struck me, that after a disaster like this, it is average 40% of your businesses close after this size of a disaster. And I immediately got off that call and said, guys, we can't have 40% of our
No.
businesses close, especially downtown. We'll be a ghost town.
Yeah.
So that's when we started doing, Trick or Treat Main Street. And I'm not saying it's us, I just started saying, what can we do that's gonna
Right.
get people down here? I think the challenge right now is gonna be January, February, March,
Yep.
when it's slow season anyway.
Yep,
And that's why I'm trying to find some things that we can promote, whether it's music at Home Place, or it's music at, New Ray, or it's just something going on, whatever we can find, so people know that we don't shut down in the middle of winter, which a lot of the touristy type towns, a lot of their businesses do. We don't. So I want people to realize we're open 100% of the time, 100% of our businesses. But I do know there's some out there that are still challenged. So we're doing what we can and really trying to focus. As the chamber, the first thing I said was, we're not gonna just focus on members. If we can't keep this economy going, our members will suffer too. So we've really spread ourselves to supporting the town and our businesses in town. Some of them just don't have the money to be chamber members right now.
right.
We'd rather see them focus that money on their businesses, you know, and paying us dues, so we're gonna be okay.
Because if they overcome this and are prosperous because of it, they will become members, I assure you.
And I hope so, and I mean, we'd like to see that, but first step has to be that becoming prosperous from it. And I know that there's some exciting things happening in Burnsville that will eventually bring business to downtown and to Yancey County too, that as it evolves, that if we can keep everybody open, you know, at least keep the doors open. Until some of the second home people get here and the summer people get here, I think that's gonna be our biggest challenge. When people say, what can we do to help Burnsville right now, if they have the means, I say, come spend money. Because if you can come shop or have a dinner or, you know, have a drink somewhere, at least it's money in our businesses' pockets, so.
Sure.
But so far, most of what I've heard has been pretty positive, so if we can get through these next 3 months, I think we're okay.
I know where I work over at WNC Bridge Foundation, I told them about the glass blowing place.
Yep,
They came over, visited, and they ordered all the volunteers and the board members a piece of art glass from there.
see, that sort
And
of
it
thing is
was
what's
like-
just so awesome.
Midsummer, and they were at a rush to get it through by the time the order was filled.
Wow, that's great. We have, we have some people I just keep calling angels on earth that have helped, you know, throughout this entire process in various ways. One of them that's done so much from literally the day this hit went to, he has a GoFundMe page that he's been raising money to help whatever, wherever the help's needed and whatever it is he needs to bring in. And he went over to Hearth Glass too and ordered a big art piece sculpture that he put out for online auction to raise money. So, I mean, it's just, that sort of thing helps so tremendously. It just does. So, and I don't know if I reported this before, but Mountain Air gave us, when they found out what we were doing with the gifts for the kids for Christmas, they gave us $15,000 to go spend at our downtown, any local businesses or retailers to buy gift cards, to buy merchandise, to buy whatever we could to contribute to that. And I mean, that was extraordinary, because that put $15,000 in our downtown business pockets, you know? So, those people out there truly are angels on earth in my mind, so, anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just get up with her tomorrow.
I will.
Let-
I'll
let-
call you.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you very much, Elaine.
Of course, thank you.
Bill, do you have anything to report from High Country?
Yeah, we had, the last meeting, we had a very long and sometimes heated meeting up the other night. We had lots of representatives there from government. Senator Ralph Heiss was there representing District 47, Dudley Green, Representative Ray Pickett, Representative Blair Edwards, Justin Summers, for Ted Budd, Rebecca Powell for Virginia Fox, and Tommy Lauder, who praised our town manager from Chuck Edwards, and Drew Christie from Roy Cooper's office. And they all seem to be working hard to get this disaster bills passed for Western North Carolina.
I will say Governor Stein, today is his first act. Did 5 executive orders for recovery that I think will be helpful. And replacing Drew in the governor's western office will be Holly Jones. So I will have her contact information. Drew sent that to us, so I just wanted y'all to know. But
Anything else, Bill, from High?
They all seem to be working together and doing what they can for that.
All right, won't have any closed session. Next regular meeting is February the 6th at 6 p.m. Anybody else have anything? Don't, have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you guys so much.
Excuse me.